Hey guys, Rod here, welcome back to the channel. I thought in this video I would dive into a bit more detail about what I've been up to with this extension, why I'm building it, how big is it, how do these SIPs work, and how much progress have I made. I mentioned in my last video that I was still waiting for some glue lambs to be delivered. Those arrived this week. With the telehandler here, I made light work of getting those off of the van. Some of them are fairly chunky and some of them are fairly long. They also delivered my floor joists and my roof joists. So these are all easy joists. So one thing about SIPs, you cannot use them as your floor. They're not structurally load bearing to be used as like a first floor. So you need to use something like easy joist as your flooring if you're going up 2 levels. And at the back of this extension, it's part single story and part double story. Hopefully by the end of this video, what is probably the most technically challenging part of this build, maybe not technically challenging, maybe just risky part of this build, is getting this Mahusive glue lamb installed at the back of the house. Calling this extension ambitious is maybe doing it a disservice. So this house was built in about 1910 and is approximately 150 square meters. This extension is going to be over 150 square meters. There's a bit of balcony at the back. If you include that, it's well over. It's probably like 160 square meters. If you don't include the balcony, it's maybe just under 150. So for all intents and purposes, this extension will double the floor space that's available in this house. So we're a family of 4. It's probably excessive. Whenever I've built an extension in the past, the only regret I've ever had was that it hasn't been big enough. So I overcompensated this time and it's big. Then I went and made the stupid decision that I'm going to put it all up myself because I'm doing it out of SIPs and that should be easy. I'm not completely insane. So I did have a groundworks contractor come in and dig out all the footings and put in the block and beam floor. I really didn't fancy doing that myself. It's not difficult, it's just hard work. So why did I go for a block and beam floor? The main reason to go for a block and beam floor is at the front of the house here. There is quite a significant drop. Doing a suspended concrete slab would probably have involved quite a lot of moving muck around, building it up. I'm not even sure if you can do that because of the settlement and anyway. Block and beam certainly made the most sense at the front of the house, and at the back of the house I just thought let's just do the whole thing in the same method to keep things simple. As you can see, still at the front here, I have got the walls up and I have put up some Tyvek wall wrap on the outside. So this helps to waterproof the walls and protect it from the elements, from the rain. I can't remember now, I think it's 4 months this can be up before it's covered. I do have battens that have been delivered, so there'll be battens on the outside of here. Most of it is then going to have cement board attached to the battens and then rendered. So when we head round to the back of the extension, that the scale of the challenge becomes apparent. So the front part of the extension that has the walls up is the smallest part. As you can see up the back there, I have started to get some of the walls up. I'm going to put some of the plans up on screen as I talk, just so that you can have a better idea of what's going on and what is where. So at this end of the extension here, there'll be a pitched roof, then a balcony. Downstairs here, this will be a big bedroom with a walk-in wardrobe, and at this end, an ensuite bathroom. At the back there will be my office. There will be a second story at this end of the extension with an additional bedroom at the top there. The additional bedroom will be how you access the balcony area. So this glulam, this crazy big glulam that I'm talking about, if you can see behind me, where is it? There it is. I made a big hole. And I've got some pad stones. I'm going to try and get those in just now. So there's actually two glulams. There's the big glulam, goes in the bottom, and then there's some packers that go in between, and then sitting above that, there's another additional glulam. There's also a glulam lintel sits across this window, because the main glulams that span here that supports the balcony floor will sit on top of that glulam and is supported on each side by these timbers here that run all the way down into the footing. So I keep talking about SIPs like it's obvious. What are SIPs? So SIPs are structurally insulated panels. This is a SIP. So a SIP, generally speaking, is made up of a sheet of OSB. In this case, it's 11mm OSB 3. A core of insulation. In this case, it's PU foam. And then another sheet of OSB on the opposite side. So this one, from the outside of one of the sheets of OSB to the outside of the other, is 150mm thick. So this is a wall panel. I don't remember off the top of my head what the U value is. I'll stick it up on screen now. This is essentially all you need for your wall. So you end up with 150mm thick walls. With current building regulations, if you were to build this out of block, you have 100mm block, then probably 150mm of insulation in the middle, and then another 100mm block. So you're at 350mm thick for your wall. Whereas with this, it's only 150. And the insulation is at least as good, if not better. I'm probably going to build on top of that by putting a small amount of insulation on the inside. I'll get back to why later. So you do get SIP panels of various different types. This one, like I said, is OSB, PU foam OSB. You can get SIP panels that are OSB and expanded polystyrene. So just like normal packing type polystyrene. I think it's probably a bit denser. Not nearly as good as far as the U value goes, and not good enough for building an extension. If you're just building like a garden office or something, you could get away with that quite a bit cheaper. But these are what you need if you were building an extension or building a house. They're joined together using splines. For my extension, the splines are all timber. It's basically just two pieces of timber that are glued together. So if you imagine, the spline will sit into the recess on one SIP, and then another SIP panel will sit on top of that. All of the splines they've delivered are timber splines. That did come as a bit of a surprise to me. I was expecting some timber splines and some SIP splines. So instead of a piece of timber, you take what is essentially a strip of thinner SIP panel, and that SIP panel sits in the recess and fixes together. That makes a lot of sense. You've got more insulation. So the insulated SIP panel has a better U value than the timber, but the timber is significantly stronger. It does bring me on to my future plan to install probably 50mm of PIR on the inside of the extension. And it'll create a complete insulated shell. Any weak spots in the insulation around the splines will be covered in another 50mm of insulation. I think it will make a huge difference to the extension and to the overall U value. think if you were building a garden room out of SIPs, you wouldn't have this problem. But one of the biggest issues I've got is finding stuff. The panels were delivered in 5 truckloads, some pretty big truckloads, some had trailers attached. And at the time when they arrived, the builders were here doing the block and beam floor. So I was a bit short of space. So at the front there, where they could offload, there was a lot of stuff going on. The block and beam floor had arrived, there were pallets of blocks, there was building material, there was stuff everywhere. So I was short of space, so everything was just offloaded onto the far side, out of the way, offloaded onto pieces of timber, keep it off the ground, and then covered. Me and the wife then went through all of that and separated it out into what lives at the front of the house and what should be at the back of the house. So every panel has a code. So this one, for example, is GF05006. So this belongs to ground floor wall number 5, and it's panel number 6. And those all correspond to the plans. So it's quite easy to figure out which panels live where. Figuring out which spline to use and then trying to find it can be a bit of a nightmare. It's not always obvious. There's no instructions to which splines, which sizes go where. So you're really looking at the size of the panel and coming up with a sensible idea. But some of it is detective work. It would be much easier if the splines actually explained, that it's connecting panel 6 to panel 7, for example. So you could have GF05 and then the size, and then you could have 6-7. So okay, that's attaching panel 6 to panel 7. It would make my life a million times easier, but yeah, more work for them, so I guess they don't bother doing it. So yesterday was pretty successful. I managed to get a massive glulam beam in here. I know as far as glulams go, it's not massive. As far as this project goes, it's massive, especially doing it yourself. The telehandler is amazing. Without it, I just couldn't do it. Pretty expensive to hire that thing, but I had very little choice for offloading them from the van. So I needed it for that. And for all of this, it just makes life so much easier. The alternative would be to hire lifting equipment and at least one other person. So it would probably cost the same or more. So I think it makes sense. Job for today. So this is just the start. On top of this glulam, there are 4 packers that need to sit up there. So 5-meter packers span the width of that glulam. Then on top of those packers, the second glulam you can just see in the background out there, and a packer that goes on the side of that. That has to go on top. Let's see how that goes. As you can see behind me, I didn't just manage to get the glulams in. It's been 2 or 3 days now. Glulams are in. I have also managed to get the 4 roof panels up at the back here. These are actually the only 4 SIPs roof panels at the back of the extension. The rest of the back is easy joist flooring and roofing, and then a warm roof deck, traditional warm roof deck. I'll talk about why I've done that in a future video. I am quitting at the back while I've got the telehandler on hire, and I'm moving back around to the front. I'm going to try and get some of the internal walls in to help support the glue lambs that need to go in there, and then hopefully be able to lift those glue lambs up and slide them into place before I lose the telehandler. Well, hopefully I don't lose it, that'll cost a fortune. If you want to follow along, see how I get on building the rest of this, see if it's possible for one person to do DIY styly, then make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below if you've got any questions. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.